done and only 3 more to go before the month-and-a-half-long Lok Sabha elections come to an end. All the big names have filed their nominations. But the biggest face of all, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will file his poll nomination today. In fact, before filing his papers, the Prime Minister visited Ganga and will visit the Kal Bhairav temple. But remember, he held a mega roadshow and followed it up with a visit to Kashi Vishwanath temple yesterday. Prime Minister Modi will also hold a meeting with top leaders of the BJP and the NDA. In fact, ahead of his nomination, the Prime Minister shared a video calling his bond with Kashi unmatched. Remember, the Prime Minister is eyeing a third straight term from Kashi. All right, to understand more about this, I'm being joined in by my guest this morning, that is Tushar Gupta, political analyst. Mr. Gupta, thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us here this morning. In fact, we're looking at these visuals of a little while ago with the fact that Prime Minister Modi did offer prayers as well. But let's begin with the fact that, like we just said, the last point, the Prime Minister is seeming very confident of this straight third term, that is from the association he has with Kashi. How do you analyze this? Do you think that it's going to be a hat-trick for the Prime Minister?
Well, inevitably. I think there's no doubt that it's going to be a hat-trick for Modi, from Varanasi, and for the Modi government across India. The mandate they're going to get is going to be bigger and better than they got in 2019, and far better than what they got in 2014. And the entire NDA meet you're seeing in Varanasi right now, that's a show of strength. That is the Modi government telling the people of India that this is a government you chose 10 years ago, a government that signifies strength, stability, clarity, and conviction, unlike the opposition, which has come across as a fractured unit for the last 6 months. I'll give you a perspective here. Look at the comparison between Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi, since the latter challenged the Prime Minister for a debate. Rahul Gandhi's nomination was confirmed on the final day of the filing of the nomination in the wee hours of the morning. And look at Narendra Modi, the love he got from the people of Varanasi yesterday in the scorching heat at the Roadshow, the kind of resonance he has with the place, how he addresses the people, Ma Ganga over there, the kind of love the people shower on him. So I think the hat-trick is inevitable, and he's earned it. He's earned it for the last 10 years. A lot of people had a lot of things to say in 2014 when he first campaigned from Varanasi. But I think 10 years later, Varanasi has made him his own. He's made Varanasi his own turf, and that's about it.
You know, as you pointed out, in fact, we do understand that the Prime Minister has said that his association with his constituency is unmatchable.
Oh, absolutely. It's unmatchable. I think the mandate this time also will be with a record number of votes. And you know, one interesting thing, yesterday also, when you were covering the entire roadshow, people were talking about the development so passionately. This is not an electorate that is just electing Modi on the basis of his personality or his track record or his history, or his political history rather. They are witnessing tangible development, and I emphasize on the word tangible here. They're looking at the increased revenues for themselves. The tourism economy in Kashi is booming. The entire local infrastructure has changed. The Kashi corridor, which a lot of skeptics, a lot of people in the opposition were questioning as to why is it needed, why is there a need to even reform the temple complex over there. All of those questions are answered today when the locals themselves, the voters of that constituency, say that we come here, we see the development that has changed our fortunes, our economy. And look at the tourists also. They say we used to come here at a certain point in time in the past, and we can experience the transformation. So I think it's very important to understand. But when we talk about this government, this Prime Minister, it's development with culture. It's transformation, but with the civilizational ethos. So all these things work together.
All right, you know, since you made that very interesting point, and in your opening comment, you've said that rather you have analyzed that the results would be far better than 2019 and 2014. Why do you say that? What are the takeaway factors in the past couple of years that we've seen under Prime Minister Modi that you believe that the people would be giving him that mandate once again?
It's the deliverables. You know, when you talk about development, you know, since independence, all our development was mostly on paper or in theory. I think for the first time since 2014, if you talk to the people on ground, even in the non-BJP states like Odisha or Telangana, which have traditionally not been BJP bastions, or even Punjab for that matter, or Uttarakhand, which used to be a swing state until 2022, there is tangible development. The opposition is caught up in the caste and the religion narrative. What they do not understand on the ground, the Labharthi voter, they are now getting tap water connections, houses, electricity, vaccines, cheap medicines. All these things matter to a common person, especially those in the villages. The opposition talks about inflation, but this government has been managing inflation under 8% despite 2 years of the pandemic, 1 year of a global supply chain crisis, 1 year of the Russia-Ukraine war. So the tangible deliverables that the people can experience, especially the women, you look at Jal Jeevan Mission, for instance, 14 crore connections under Jal Jeevan. That's 14 crore households we're talking about. At an average, even 6 people per household, we're talking about 84 crore people. That's all, more than half of the Indian population that has first time since independence got tap water connections. Not to us sitting in our urban landscapes, it might sound very trivial or might sound very frivolous that why does a tap water connection warrant a vote for the prime minister? But in the villages, these are big things. These are things that actually contribute to ease of life.
Hmm. All right, so you're essentially talking about the kind of deliverables and on ground reality, what has changed, Tushar. But if I were to ask you this, in terms of what you said, the show of strength by the NDA as well, we'll try getting in that reaction from Chandrababu Naidu, but let me just tell you and our viewers what he said. In fact, he says that the Prime Minister is going to be the Prime Minister, he will be becoming the Prime Minister for the third time, and he's done extremely well in the last 10 years. But what he says here, the operative part, is that India is going to play a major role globally while also making that prediction of NDA is going to get 400 plus seats. Do you still see that 400 par happening is one aspect of it, but the fact that he's got the backing of NDA leaders as well, like you were mentioning in terms of the results that you believe we'd be seeing in 2024?
Look, after the Karnataka victory of the Congress, there was a lot of talk of an alliance coming together, of all the opposition parties coming together to support the Congress. But it's been almost a year since that victory of the Congress. The alliance has not been able to come together. You look at Rahul Gandhi when he was in Wayanad, he was under constant attack from none other than the Kerala chief
All right,
minister.
Tushar, I'd have to interject you there. Just give me a couple of minutes. I'm going to come back to you. Understand our colleague Ashutosh is getting us more details as far as the nomination day is concerned. Let's listen to it.
सैलानियों को मिलने जा रही है श्रद्धालुओं को, उसमें वो हेलीकॉप्टर के जरिए नमो घाट पर पहुंचेंगे और इसके बाद वो यहां से क्रूज के जरिए या फिर नाव के जरिए पूरे घाटों का दीदार कर सकते हैं और काशी के घाटों का दीदार कर सकते हैं। तो प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को लेकर जो क्रेज है वो लगातार बढ़ता जा रहा है। बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जो सुबह से ही उनको देखने के लिए उनको यहाँ पर एक तरीके से पहुंचे हुए थे। इतनी गर्मी है बावजूद इसके आप लोग यहाँ पर पहुंचे हैं। कितना क्रेज है प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी का?
क्रेज तो बहुत ज्यादा है कि इतने 40 डिग्री के पार के ऊपर लोग जो है खड़े हुए हैं 2-2 घंटे से। और बस अब की बार उम्मीद तो ये है कि अयोध्या तो हो गई, अब काशी और मथुरा का भी उद्धार कर दे, बस उसी लिए वोट देना है। और विकास तो कर ही रहे हैं, विकास तो कर ही रहे हैं।
प्रधानमंत्री जी यहाँ पर पहुंचे हैं, आप लोग भी काफी देर से यहाँ पर जमी है, इतनी गर्मी है, ऐसा ही क्या बात है प्रधानमंत्री जी में?
हाँ, ऐसे ही देखने आए हैं हम लोग, इतना अच्छा काम किए हैं जो आगे बढ़ा ही रहे हैं सबको।
बनारस को उन्होंने बनारस के लिए
हाँ, बहुत अच्छा काम किया है।
तो इस बार वोट मिलेगा उनको बनारस से?
पूरा मिलेगा।
क्या नाम है आपका?
अदिति दुबे।
अदिति, आप प्रधानमंत्री जी को देखने के लिए आई हैं?
हाँ।
कितने घंटे से यहाँ पर हैं?
1 घंटे से।
1 घंटे से? अरे बहुत धूप है, फिर भी आप यहाँ पर?
हाँ, मुझे मोदी जी बहुत
देखिए, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी का ये जो काफिला है वो अब आगे की ओर बढ़ता जा रहा है और कहा यह जा रहा है कि इसी कार में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी सवार है। और अब जो कार है, देखिए आगे की सीट पर वो यहाँ पर बैठे हैं, लोगों का अभिवादन कर रहे हैं और उसकी तरफ जो एसपीजी के जवान हैं वो यहाँ पर हैं। और इस सड़क मार्ग के जरिए प्रधानमंत्री सीधे अब बाबा काल भैरव के दरबार में पहुंचेंगे और वहां से पूजा अर्चन करने के बाद जो उनका काफिला होगा वो नामांकन स्थान यानी कलेक्ट्रेट की ओर बढ़ेगा। तो निश्चित तौर पर प्रधानमंत्री के लिए आज का जो दिन है वो बेहद खास है। कल हमने देखा था कि लगभग 5 किलोमीटर लंबा उन्होंने रोड शो किया लंका से लेकर दशाश्वमेध घाट तक। और इसके बाद आज का जो दिन है वो गंगा सप्तमी का दिन है, गंगा अवतरण का दिन है और ऐसे में वो नामांकन के लिए यहाँ से अब रवाना हो चुके हैं।
All right, Ashutosh, of course, continuously getting us those reports of what's happening on ground, but very interesting what we did see in those reactions as well that he tried to get us is all the age groups that have come together as far as them coming out and supporting the Prime Minister. These are live visuals that we continue to show you at the moment as far as Prime Minister arriving there before, of course, he'll be filing that nomination. But I do understand Tushar, of course, continues to stay with us. Tushar, while we, of course, focus on these visuals and what Ashutosh said, very interesting takeaway is the age group with which probably, if politically you're analyzing this, a leader that has been able to, get along with all age groups. It's the young. It's also with the fact that different sectors of how he's managed to do so. Is that how you view it? A very accessible leader?
Oh, yes, a very accessible leader indeed. I was just watching one of his interviews where he's talking about the exam warriors and how the students have done well in the class 10 and class 12 exams. He's always having this knack of knowing things, whatever is going on in the world right now. And look at the promise he's made to the senior citizens of India in his manifesto. And we've not been talking about it often, that everyone above the age of 70 will now also be under the Ayushman Bharat cover. Again, these are very little things probably to an observer in the urban landscape, but on the ground, these things mean a lot. And with the development, with infrastructure, he's captivated the imagination of 1 billion people. Infrastructure impacts everyone differently. For some, it's about accessibility. For some, it's about more economic opportunities. And people like their tax money being spent like that. I'll give you another example, self-help groups. This government has made a major push for self-help groups, covering almost 9.5 crore women. Now, compare this to what the Congress says. The Congress says we'll give you rupees 1 lakh every year without you having to do anything. This government says, the Modi government says, we'll empower you to earn rupees 1 lakh every year or more. We are not, putting your restriction at 1 lakh. We want you to earn as much as you can. We want you to create revenue. We want you to become economic stakeholders. They've created 1 crore Lakpati Didis. They're on their track to create 2 crore more. So this is the difference between how the Modi government and the Congress party views the people of India also. One believes in empowerment. One believes in the Mai Bap Sarkar mentality. And that is why a lot of people across all age groups, given his push for Atmanirbharta, his message for self-reliance, job creation, wealth creation, that's why they resonate with him. Because post-independence, I think this is the first prime minister we've had ever who's been very vocal about wealth creation, who's been very vocal about entrepreneurship. It's very easy to say, we'll give you a 9-to-5 job, we'll give you this much money as a dole out, as a freebie. But it's very difficult for a prime minister to convince a electorate that, go, earn, empower yourselves, and we are going to help you in that. And this is what the prime minister has been successful in doing for the last 10 years.
All right. So essentially, of course, you have drawn perspective as to what we've seen in terms of development, his individual leadership skills, which has become a talking point for most of the occasions, that is. But probably what has not worked in his favor, Tushar, I will come to that point as well, but in a while, that is. So we're going to be joining you on the show in a little while from now. But for the moment, thank you very much for joining us with your initial perspective as far as this is concerned. We're going to be slipping in a quick